When I think back to the way our lives used to be in Chicago, I realize how much can change in just a year. My husband, Daniel, and I were living what many would call the ordinary American dream. We had a modest house, steady jobs, and a circle of friends we'd known for years. But sometimes even ordinary lives take unexpected turns, and that's exactly what happened when we convinced our neighbor, Emily, to join us on a journey that none of us could have anticipated. It started one fall afternoon. The air was crisp, the trees lining Maple Avenue glowing in shades of amber and red. Daniel was raking leaves in the front yard, and I was trimming back the rose bushes by the porch. That's when Emily, who had recently moved into the neighborhood, stopped by to introduce herself. She carried a plate of homemade pumpkin bread, still warm, and her smile was shy but warm. She was younger than us, maybe late 20s, recently relocated from Denver after going through a tough divorce. I could sense the nervous energy in her voice as she explained she didn't know anyone here yet. Daniel, ever the extrovert, immediately offered to bring her by for one of our game nights. That night, I remember telling Daniel, "She looks lonely. I think she needs friends right now." Daniel nodded. "Then let's be that for her." And that's how it began. The first invitation. Our game nights were usually small affairs, a few friends, pizza, laughter echoing off the walls of our living room. But when Emily walked in that Friday night, she seemed hesitant, clutching her sweater around her shoulders like armor. I sat next to her, asking about her favorite movies, her hobbies, anything to make her feel at ease. Slowly, she relaxed. By the end of the night, she was laughing so hard she had tears in her eyes. Daniel leaned over to me later and whispered, "She fits right in." But it wasn't just about fitting in. Something deeper was happening. Emily was beginning to feel safe again, and I could see her rediscovering parts of herself she thought she had lost. Building trust. Over the following weeks, Emily became a regular presence in our lives. She would join me for morning walks around the neighborhood, the kind where you talk about everything and nothing all at once. Sometimes she came over for dinner, bringing her grandmother's recipes that she was proud to share. One evening, as we sat around the kitchen island, Emily admitted something. "I didn't think I'd find people who actually cared about me here. I thought I'd just fade into the background." I reached for her hand. "Not on our watch." Daniel smiled. "You're part of this now." I didn't know it at the time, but that simple sentence, "you're part of this now," was the start of something life-changing. A challenge appears. As close as we were becoming, Emily still carried invisible walls. Sometimes she'd withdraw, retreating into herself. I'd find her staring out the window, lost in thought. When I asked, she brushed it off. But one evening, when rain drummed against the roof and the three of us were sipping cocoa by the fire, she finally opened up. "My divorce wasn't just messy," she confessed softly. "It broke me. He made me feel like I wasn't worth anyone's time, like I didn't matter." And I believed him. I felt tears sting my eyes. Daniel reached over and said firmly, "Emily, listen to me. You matter. To us. Don't ever forget that." That night, she cried, but it wasn't the broken kind of crying. It was the healing kind, the kind where someone finally lets themselves believe they're safe. Convinced to join us. It wasn't about convincing Emily to join us in some single moment. It was a gradual journey. We convinced her to join our walks. We convinced her to join our dinners. We convinced her to join us in laughter, in struggles, in healing. By spring, she was no longer the neighbor who lived next door. She was family. When Daniel's work got overwhelming, she was there to encourage him. When I doubted myself, she was the one reminding me of my strengths. One weekend, the three of us took a road trip to Nashville. We sang along to old country songs on the radio, stopped for pie at roadside diners, and talked late into the night in the hotel lobby. Emily turned to us at one point and said, "I can't believe I almost let myself stay closed off. You didn't give up on me. You convinced me to join you, and I've never been happier." A new beginning. That summer, Emily found the courage to start over in her career, too. She had always loved art but had set it aside during her marriage. With encouragement from Daniel and me, She started teaching art classes at the local community center. On the day of her first class, she invited us to come watch. As we stood in the back of the room, I saw her glowing with confidence, guiding children through their first brushstrokes on canvas. When the class ended, she rushed to us, tears in her eyes. "I wouldn't have done this without you," she whispered. But we knew the truth. She had always had the strength inside her. She just needed people to remind her of it. The lesson we learned. Looking back now, I realize that life gave us Emily for a reason. We thought we were just being good neighbors, offering friendship. But in truth, she changed us as much as we changed her. Sometimes convincing someone to join you isn't about persuasion. It's about patience. It's about showing up again and again, proving with actions that they matter. Emily taught us that healing happens in community, that trust is built slowly, and that everyone deserves a place to belong. 1 year later, today, a year after Emily first showed up at our door with pumpkin bread, I can't imagine life without her. She's at every holiday dinner, every birthday celebration. She brings light into our home and strength into our lives. And whenever new neighbors move onto Maple Avenue, Emily is the first to greet them, always carrying a plate of something homemade, always ready to say, "You're part of this now." Because once upon a time, we convinced her to join us, and now, she's the one convincing others to believe in the power of connection.